Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the final hosted edition by me of the Softball Canada 2021 webinar series. The May theme is the balancing act, and I am super excited to be joined tonight by, before I get to that, my name is Frankie Billingsley, member of the Officials Development Committee. I'll be your host for this evening's webinar, and I'll be joined by 4 Softball Canada umpires who have achieved some amazing accomplishments in umpiring, all while going to school and playing softball at the same time. And I thought that this would be the perfect month to host a webinar that has as its goal a recruitment strategy. So if there's players out there who are logged in and have ever wondered about how to umpire and play and go to school, these 4 people are going to help you out. So our first speaker for this evening's event is Curtis Holt-Robinson. Curtis Holt-Robinson. Curtis, come on screen, please. Thank you. Hi, Curtis.
Hello.
Curtis is a 20-year-old level 4 umpire from Surrey, BC. Curtis has umpired for the past 9 years and has played the sport for 14. He is currently attending the University of British Columbia for a bachelor's in psychology, while also working as a financial advisor. And what Curtis did not tell me, because he's so super humble, is he was also the valedictorian of his high school class, which I recently discovered from one of his umpiring friends in BC, which I was like, how could you not want to tell me about that amazing accolade, Curtis?
I guess it is humble. I didn't even think about it. Thank you. You did your due diligence.
Welcome, Curtis. I'm so excited to have you as part of our panel tonight. So if you have a couple of slides to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Don has made you a presenter, so you can pull them up.
Perfect. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can, and I can also see the slides on the left.
Okay, awesome. And now it should be in present mode?
You are good to go. So I will let you take over and I'll come back when you're finished.
Okay, thank you very much, Frankie.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Curtis, and Frankie gave me a wonderful introduction. I just wanted to take you through sort of the last couple of years of my umpiring experience, balancing school as well, but also talking about the tremendous people I've met along the way, and also the privilege to travel across Canada and also a little bit to the USA. So these are some of my friends here, and let's just go. So I want to start off when I was 16 years old in 2017. There's me over there and me over there. Very baby face, but with a bunch of good friends that I met in 2017 that I still talk with them. We have back and forth. We go out for coffee when the pandemic's not here. We're really good friends, and that's really something umpiring has taught me, is that the people you meet along the way, it's not just then and never again. It's usually continually for a long time. Also in 2017, I got the unbelievable privilege to go to my first Canadian National Championship, the U16 girls in Delta, BC. There's me over there and a remarkable crew with remarkable UICs. It was a phenomenal time. If anybody's presented the opportunity to go to a national, whether you're playing, coaching, umpiring, it is an opportunity of a lifetime. So definitely check that off on your bucket list if you can. There's some pictures of our time there, and you see every single person in these photos is smiling ear to ear. That is the true experience of a national, at least in my estimation. Just phenomenal times had by all. 2018, shifting. I'm a little older now, still a baby. I'm now 17, and I took on more leadership roles over here. We have a leadership convention every year for BC umpires, BC leaders, and I really took charge in there, trying to, help the sport as much in my province as possible. A couple of phenomenal umpires over here, and I also got my, people can still see my screen. I also got my license over there, so I could drive myself to my games. I didn't have to bother my parents as much as I had once previously. Also, more umpires here. Phenomenal umpire here named Frank from BC. Phenomenal American umpire named CJ over there. And in Surrey, BC, every year, under normal circumstance, we have what's called the Canada Cup, where international teams, every team really you can imagine, comes to the epicenter of Surrey and has a 2-week-long tournament. So here's me and a good umpire of mine, a good friend of mine named Kelly, with the youth team from Japan. Phenomenal experiences and remarkable stuff, especially just within the umpiring community, making those friendships along the way. And yeah, they'll never go away. 2018, still continuing. I went to Kelowna for another tournament for a Western Canadian Championship. Phenomenal time. And there's me and my parents there. Every year, Softball BC, and I believe every single province hosts a banquet, an award ceremony of sorts. And I was nominated for a Rising Star Umpire Award. Really go to those banquets if you can, those award ceremonies. It's a fantastic opportunity to get together with all the people you've met throughout the years and just really appreciate the sport for what it is and also the dedication that countless people have made to the sport. I mean, you can just think at a passing glance of some people that have made tremendous sacrifice in the sport, and it's always good to give credit where credit's due. So just remember those people every so often. And finally here, 2019 was a phenomenal year. I'll explain this pterodactyl picture over here, but essentially in the middle here is a couple of really good umpires from my home association of Fleetwood Park in Surrey. And over to the right here is one of my good friends, Danilo Martinez. I met him in 2018 at the Canada Cup, and he was from the Dominican Republic. Didn't speak that much English, and I spoke a little bit of Spanish, so I was there to help him, you know, get his money changed and get him food and all that stuff. He sadly passed away later in last year, but that's just a testament to the phenomenal people you can meet when umpiring, when coaching, when putting yourself out there. You'll make phenomenal friendships. So never get scared about, you know, taking up those opportunities when they present themselves. Giving back in 2019 was phenomenal, to say the least. Over to the left-hand side here, you can see egg on my face and also egg on this umpire over here. Every year at Fleetwood, we have, you know, opening day, and this year we were raising money for the Firefighters Association, so we decided to do an egg and umpire. People could pay $1 or $2 and, you know, smash an egg on an umpire's head, and who would have known I got most of the eggs on my head. Guess some people weren't too happy with some of my calls. Here, I was Fleety the Pterodactyl for Fleetwood one year for advertising, just trying to recruit, retain umpires and players, you know, and have some fun along with it. And then to the right here, there's me and some of the executive members from Fleetwood Fast Pitch. Never forget the executive. You know, as an umpire, you might have a really good umpiring community. As a player, you might have a really good tight-knit group of players. As a coach, you might have a good tight-knit group of coaches, but the executive does a tremendous amount. So always, you know, give them thanks where you can too. Blue Convention. So every 3 years, I believe, Blue Convention is offered where all umpires across Canada can come, can learn, can, you know, reunite, can connect for the first time. Over here, I've met some fantastic umpires from across Canada and also BC and Blue there too. A great time to reconnect and really see what Montreal and Quebec had to offer in 2019. In 2019, also loads of games and tournaments from umpiring. I went to a national in Calgary. It was a phenomenal time. And also over here to the right, there's me and a couple umpires from Fleetwood. Every year, the last game of the season, we put on Hawaiian shirts and just have a fun time with it. It's, you know, those little traditions go a long way, and it's a really good community when you can find it. Also, and lastly, I've played, believe it or not. So I look like a stick and I don't have that much muscles, but I was good enough to make it onto the Team BC for the U19 Men's National in 2019. Batting average, not so good, more of the cheerleader of the team, but phenomenal people there with me there. In the bottom left over here, that good looking umpire there is Jason Rancho from BC. We were both representing BC pretty well in Ontario over there. And of course, this is the balancing act, so talking about school. 2019 was also the year I graduated. So in the top left corner, there's me and some of my best friends there. Some of my more best friends in the middle there. And the bottom half of the screen over here is I really got roped in and loved doing improv and theater. You can see me as being Santa Claus in the bottom left. But really, really good times, and school has really opened myself up to really appreciating a lot of life, not just, you know, softball and umpiring, as I have done so much in the past. And where it is now. I've been a part of the UBC improv community, going to UBC in Vancouver. We're trying to umpire in any capacity we can in these times of COVID. So no matter what the season looks like for this year, for next year, you can expect me to be out on the ball diamond in whatever capacity possible. And also this picture here showing me catching my first fish. I'm really trying to be grateful and thankful for the moments that present themselves, right? So when I can, you know, see all you guys in person again, really just taking those moments to appreciate what we've been given. I mean, in these times of reflection, it's, yeah, you got to be thankful for what we usually take for granted, right? And to conclude here, a bunch of pictures of me and some of my best friends I've made throughout the years. I really want to say, put yourself out there as much as you can, right? Have faith in what you're doing. Take these leaps of faith. And it might be scary, you might be apprehensive to do that in whatever capacity it is, in coaching and playing and umpiring and building community, right? But have those steps of faith to begin with, and eventually opportunities will present themselves. Take those opportunities, because then more opportunities will keep coming up, and you can really have the potential to meet phenomenal people, travel to really remarkable places, and no matter your domain of the game, you can be a part of something really, really phenomenal. Softball has had something that I haven't seen anywhere else in any capacity, in anything. We got something really good here. So just understand what that is, and continue to put yourself out there whenever you can. So thank you for listening, and I hope to answer some of your questions later on in the webinar. Take care, everyone.
Curtis, just before you go, thank you so much for such a pleasant presentation. Wow, you have been busy.
A little bit, yes.
Like just the achievements that you've been able to accomplish in school, and then all of the different things you've accomplished in umpiring and working, you know, like just you're a busy guy, and you've achieved a lot of success in all areas of your life. And I just wanted to say thank you. And I really loved your message about gratitude. That is such a profound word for me, and I really appreciate you sharing that. And the other one around taking a leap of faith. You know, educational theory actually talks about we do our best learning when we're uncomfortable, and
Right.
Sometimes when you're taking a leap of faith, you're putting yourself in a situation where you might be uncomfortable. So I really appreciate at your ripe, old, wise age of 20 that you can come up with these amazing things for us.
I'm ancient, Frankie. My back hurts, my leg hurts. I don't know. I can complain all the time about being in the old age of 20. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And we will see you during the question and answer period. So thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Frankie.
Our next speaker for this evening is probably the one that I know the most, Emma Jerome Smith. Emma Jerome Smith is a level 5 umpire originally from Calgary, Alberta, and currently living in Didsbury, where she works as a mixed animal veterinarian. She grew up playing fast pitch competitively and began umpiring at the age of 14. She attained her level 5 in 2019 and is working toward her WBSC certification as we speak. And of course, for those of you that know, I'm a recent resident of Ontario, so I come from Alberta, and that's how I happen to know Emma well. Welcome, Emma.
Thanks, Frankie. I'll just share my screen here.
Sounds good.
Can you see that okay?
You're good to go. I will see you when you are finished.
Perfect. Thanks for the introduction, Frankie. As mentioned, my name is Emma, and I'm a level 5 umpire out of Alberta. I'll just start by sharing a little bit more about myself, and then I'll go into some of the keys that allowed me to balance a busy schedule. As Frankie mentioned, I started playing ball at a young age. At the age of 5, I picked up my first softball, and from then on I was hooked. I grew up on the diamond and quickly began playing competitive softball. As a player, I was lucky enough to attend numerous Western and Canadian championships. When I was 14, I attended my first umpire clinic. My dad started umpiring before me, so I knew a lot of the local officials, and each year they tried to convince me to come up to the clinic. Finally, they succeeded, and I attended my first clinic. Between playing competitive ball and umpiring, I was at the diamond pretty much every day of the week. And I won't lie to you, I pretty much still am. Let's flash forward a few years here to graduating high school and attending the University of Calgary. I started off at the University of Calgary doing a pre-veterinary degree in zoology. I did 3 years of this degree before applying to and being accepted into the veterinary medicine program, again at U of C. During my 3 years of undergrad and my first 3 years of vet school, I also played for the University of Calgary Dinos, the women's fastball team. It was during vet school when things got the busiest. In the fall, I was playing for the University of Calgary and also attending vet school. And in the spring and summer, I was finishing up vet school, working full-time at a vet clinic, playing club ball, and also umpiring. As you can imagine, it was a lot on my plate, but I began seriously pursuing umpiring in 2015. That was when I attended my level 3 evaluator, which we do at a provincials in Alberta. It was here I like to say I was bitten by the umpire bug. I was fully hooked and excited to do every game. Again, flash forward through many league games, tournaments, and championships to the 2019 Women's Canadian Championship, where surrounded by a great team of blue, I received my level 5 certification. Then in the spring of 2020, I graduated from veterinary school and began working as a mixed animal veterinarian in rural Alberta. I work primarily with dogs, cats, horses, and cattle, but occasionally like to spice it up by seeing a few other species, including hedgehogs, alpacas, and pot-bellied pigs. Now that you've had a relatively long recap of my life, I'll go into some of the things that were key in allowing me to balance it all. First off is my love of the game. I hope you can tell based on my story that the game of softball is my passion. I love being on the diamond, whether that's as a player or an umpire. Being out there every night of the week isn't work for me. I look forward to heading out, lacing up the cleats or the plate shoes, and just focusing on ball, forgetting everything else that may be going on in my life at that point in time. I wholeheartedly believe that if you love something enough, you'll find time in your schedule to make it all work. Secondly, and in my opinion, most importantly, is having great support systems. So these support systems exist at all individual areas of your life: family, fellow umpires, classmates, teammates, coaches, and work colleagues. Having these support systems in those individual levels, when brought all together, makes balancing it all that much easier. For the sake of this discussion, I'll focus primarily on the umpire support system. However, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my incredibly supportive family. From the day I started umpiring to the day I got my level 5, they were cheering me on along the way. And like Curtis, they were the ones driving me to all my games when I first started umpiring. However, back to the Blue family. I'm incredibly lucky to be supported by some of the incredible umpires around Calgary. One thing I tell each and every new official is to find yourself a mentor or mentors. These are the people that you go to ask questions, discuss plays, and they're there for the good days and the bad days. Honestly, sometimes you just need someone to go to and say, I'm off my game, I'm not sure what's happening, will you watch me and give me some feedback? In addition to the incredible mentors I've had, I've also found it very helpful to have someone going along the journey with you. A peer umpire who understands what you're going through because they're going through exactly the same thing, and they can relate to those different steps along the way. These mentors and peers are the ones who I celebrate my successes with and who are there through the failures. And honestly, I would not be the umpire I am today without them. Finally, is developing time management skills. This is really helpful in balancing a busy workload. First of all, you need to be self-aware and you need to understand how you best stay organized. Are you the type of person who needs to write everything down in a planner, or can you manage it all in your head? Regardless, again, being organized is key to balancing that heavy workload. This also comes with prioritizing what's important to you at that point in time. And this can change depending on the time of year and the stage of your life. For me, going through school was always the priority. This made it easier knowing what my school schedule had to balance my other activities and know when I could schedule those. And then also the time of year can depend. For example, during exam season at school or the busy season at work, for me it being calving season, I know that ball might need to take a back seat for a couple weeks there, but eventually that will again become a priority later in the summer. I'd be remiss if I made balancing all of these things sound easy. Nobody's perfect. There will be times when you feel overwhelmed. There will be times when you're stressed, and there will be times when you feel stretched thin. It's okay to say no, and it's okay to take some time for yourself. Sometimes we just need to remember that we love the game and we enjoy participating in these activities. If we remember to take care of ourselves first, it makes balancing everything else that much easier. And lastly, I just want to remind everyone that we define who we are and what we are. You don't have to be just an umpire, just a player, just a student, or just a veterinarian, or whatever career path you've chosen for yourself. You can do however much or however little you want to, and embrace all the aspects in your life and enjoy what you do. It's these aspects that make us individually unique, and that at the end of the day is what makes us a good official. Thank you for listening. Hopefully I've left you with a couple things that resonate, and I'm more than happy to chat if anyone ever has questions. Thanks, Frankie.
Thanks, Emma. Love the passion that comes through, and I love how that was part of your presentation. And so super important that we have support, like you said. So thank you for those elements of your presentation. Emma, if you want, you could probably stop sharing your screen if you haven't already.
I have tried.
And no, yep, I got it. Thank you. And another reason why I'm super excited about tonight is because it is for the first time this series, but also I think for the first time in any Softball Canada webinar, we have a speaker who will be en français. So I'm super excited to introduce our next speaker, SARAH-ÈVE Jacob. Hello, SARAH- èVE. Bonjour.
Hello, Frankie.
So I'm going to, just in the spirit of this part of the presentation, I'm going to introduce you en français. So, SARAH- èVE, habité en Gatineau, Québec, mais j'ai commencé ma carrière d'arbitre près de Montréal. J'ai obtenu mon niveau 5 lors du championnat canadien senior féminin en 2017, puis la certification WBSC en 2018, je travaille en télévision comme spécialiste des ressources techniques à Radio-Canada.
Parfait, Frankie.
E for effort.
Absolutely.
Right. Excellent. Très bien.
Parfait. Donc, comme Frankie l'a dit, je m'appelle SARAH- èVE Jacob. J'ai maintenant 30 ans, mais mes années d'école sont pas tellement loin derrière moi. Quand on m'a demandé de participer à ce webinaire-là, je pense que le premier mot qui me venait en tête quand on me demandait comment j'ai balancé l'école, le fait de jouer, mais aussi un début de carrière d'arbitrage, je pense que ça se résume tout simplement à de la discipline, de la rigueur. Pour moi, l'école, ça a toujours été ce qui primait, ce qui était le plus important. Mais évidemment, je voulais jouer à la balle, je voulais, dans ce temps-là, jouer au basket, jouer au flag football. J'ai commencé à arbitrer. Il y a les amis aussi à l'adolescence. Fait que tout ça, ça faisait que c'est ce qui me permettait en fait de trouver un certain équilibre dans tout ça, puis de pas devenir un peu folle avec l'école. Donc, en gros, j'ai commencé à jouer, évidemment, en balle rapide à l'âge de 5 ans. Puis, j'ai commencé à arbitrer à l'âge de 16 ans. Donc, à la fin du secondaire 4, puis début de secondaire 5. On sait évidemment, à ce moment-là, c'est des grosses années. Puis, finalement, j'ai gradué à 22 ans. Quand je parlais de discipline, de rigueur, je pense que c'est surtout devenu une habitude que j'ai pris, une espèce de routine que j'ai pris au secondaire. J'étais dans le programme d'éducation internationale. De septembre au mois de mars, je jouais au basket. Après ça, c'était la saison de flag football. Les pratiques commençaient en gymnase en tant que joueuse de balle. Puis, tranquillement, pas vite, ben, c'était aussi des cliniques d'arbitre qui s'ajoutaient à ça. la saison qui commençait par après. Donc, mois de mars, ça a été tellement... La fin de l'année scolaire, en fait, ça devenait tellement occupé que j'en venais à perdre ma voix. Je pense que ce qui m'a aussi beaucoup aidé à maintenir un espèce d'équilibre à travers tout ça, c'est les amis à l'école. J'avais ma gang d'amis du basketball, du flag, ma gang d'amis d'arbitre, puis tout ça, ça faisait que ça me poussait à faire mes travaux, mes lectures, tout ça, qui passaient en priorité, évidemment, mais pour que je puisse aller justement voir ces gens-là, juste me sortir l'école de la tête, faire quelque chose que j'aimais vraiment. Puis en fait, cette mentalité-là est restée avec moi tout au long du cégep par après, d'une année d'université, puis aussi pendant mon parcours au collégial par après. Donc autant ça a été un peu une école de la vie, apprendre à faire les choses à temps, à ne pas procrastiner, qu'au cégep, c'était devenu super tranquille. Cette balance-là était devenue évidente. C'était un peu un mode de vie. T'sais, on fait tout ce qu'on a à faire à l'école pour qu'après ça, je puisse juste avoir du fun à aller sur un terrain de balle parce que je passais tout mon temps là, que ce soit comme joueuse ou tranquillement pas vite comme arbitre. Le terrain où est-ce que tout ça se passait, c'était à peu près à 5 minutes de chez mes parents, donc ça se faisait facilement. Où est-ce que ça a été un petit peu plus dur de balancer tout ça? Honnêtement, c'est quand je partais à l'université. J'ai décidé d'aller étudier dans la ville de Québec, qui était à environ 3h30 de chez nous. Ce qui fait que, évidemment, encore là, l'école passait en premier, mais ça impliquait beaucoup de voyagements pour revenir dans la région de Montréal, où est-ce que la balle que j'arbitrais, le niveau que j'arbitrais, était disponible. Ce qui fait que encore là, c'est de se faire un horaire, c'est vraiment ce qui m'a sorti du trouble un peu, tu sais, avoir un horaire vraiment serré pour pouvoir partir 3, 4, 5 fins de semaine de suite peut-être, aller soit en tournoi de fin de saison, que ce soit pour jouer, pour arbitrer, peu importe, mais aussi parce que à ce moment-là, je jouais à balle compétitive. En fait, au niveau 2A au Québec. Puis, évidemment, ça vient avec des camps de sélection. Je voulais évidemment pas manquer ça. C'est dans ma nature d'être compétitive, mais justement, du fait que je me disais, OK, là, je vais aller voir ces amis-là, cette gang-là, je vais m'arranger pour que tous mes travaux, toutes mes lectures soient faites, puis ça va faire que justement, le 2-3 heures de route que je vais avoir à faire, ben, je vais continuer mes choses pour avoir la tête tranquille par après sur le terrain. Même chose quand je suis allée faire ma technique collégiale. À ce moment-là, c'était dans le coin d'Ottawa. Ben, ça a été plus difficile. Je mentirais pas. C'est un programme très chargé. Mais encore là, c'est les mêmes principes de base. Tout ce que j'ai appris pendant le secondaire, l'espèce de routine, de discipline, de rigueur, d'essayer de mélanger ça avec le fait de voir ses amis, de prendre le temps aussi. Ça m'a vraiment aidé. Puis, en fait, je dirais pas que c'est facile, c'est pas toujours facile, mais c'est possible de se réaliser dans nos études en tant que joueuse, puis aussi en tant qu'arbitre. Parce que juste dans ces 6 premières années-là, j'avais déjà fait 2 championnats canadiens. C'est évidemment le temps aussi, en fait, comme arbitre, 2 championnats canadiens comme arbitre. C'est aussi le temps où est-ce qu'on commence à nous demander, ouais, peut-être que là, il faudrait que tu choisisses entre jouer puis entre arbitrer. Je pense que tout ce que ça m'avait appris avant m'a amené jusqu'à ce point-là, si je peux dire, parce que je me suis dit, non, j'ai été capable de jouer, d'arbitrer puis d'aller à l'école. C'est pas vrai que je serais pas capable de simplement jouer puis arbitrer. Donc, le choix, je vais le prendre, mais je vais le prendre plus tard. Puis, donc voilà, un bon exemple que tout ça se fait en 2017, comme Frankie l'a dit. J'ai remporté les championnats provinciaux dans l'intermédiaire 2A. Puis 2 semaines plus tard, j'allais rechercher mon niveau 5 au championnat canadien senior féminin. Donc, tout ça se fait. Je pense qu'il faut faut avoir encore là, une certaine discipline. Faut pas remettre au lendemain, mais ça se fait. C'est des super belles opportunités qu'on a la chance de vivre à travers la balle, que ce soit comme joueur, comme arbitre. Puis ça vaut vraiment, vraiment, vraiment la peine. Donc voilà, merci. Frankie?
Merci beaucoup, SARAH-ÈVE. Très bien. I could listen to you talk in French for hours. Thank you so much. I will see you again at the end for the question and answer period. Our last speaker for you this evening, Laura Mcmillan. Laura started her umpiring career out of Coquitlam, BC, and is the Deputy Umpire-in-Chief for BC. She received her Softball Canada Level 5 certification in 2016 and her WBSC certification in 2017. Laura has graduated with a Bachelor of Phys Ed in Coaching, minoring biology, a post-degree diploma in marketing, where she was the valedictorian and gold cord recipient, a Master of Science in International Management, summa cum laude, and a Master of Business Administration and Sports Management, also summa cum laude. She has played softball her entire life, including 4 years at Douglas College and currently in the Senior A Women's League as a catcher. She's working full-time. She worked full-time during her last 3 degrees and is currently the athletics coordinator at Douglas College. Welcome, Laura.
Thanks, Frankie.
Thank you for being here. So your presentation is an elephant on a tightrope.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
Okay, we'll see you soon.
Great, thank you. Honestly, when I first heard of the Balancing Act, I instantly thought of an elephant balancing on a tightrope, holding an umbrella. At first, I just thought of the large elephant balancing on a small unicycle and how challenging that is for that elephant. But then I came to realize that the unicycle is balancing on a tightrope while holding on to so much weight of the elephant. You've heard such great stories and advice from the 3 previous panelists that I thought I'd go in a little bit of a different direction and share some personal stories along the way. My overall message that I would like to convey is how failure can be the best outcome while working towards success, and how realistic optimism can turn the fear of failure into something positive in your life. Now, I'm not saying success is not the best outcome. Success is a great feeling because you feel like you haven't done something wrong. It's not embarrassing. You typically don't feel bad. However, failure can teach you so much more in life and give you even greater success from learning from those failures. An umpiring story that I like to talk about in clinics, especially for new umpires, is the time when I umpired my first time umpiring for Senior Team Canada tryouts in 2010. Up until that point, I was about 19, 20 years old, and it was the highest level of ball I've ever done. I was told I was just going to be doing the bases on game day, that and I wouldn't be doing the plate. And then when I got to the stadium and was waiting for my partner contacted me last minute and said that they were going to be running late and they were going to be late for the game. Then a coach rep from Team Canada came in and asked if they can start the game early. So I was going to be all by myself umpiring Team Canada. And this completely freaked me out because I was not prepared and I was not in the right mindset to umpire the plate for Team Canada. My mind was full of thoughts of don't fail, don't mess up, that I psyched myself up and out. I psyched myself out and did not set myself up for success. My strike zone was huge. It was the size of a barn. And what made it worse was everyone so nice to me about it. And between innings at the tryouts, Coach Smith came beside me and kindly asked if I can bring my zone in just a little bit, which he was so nice about. But I swear it just made my zone even bigger. I couldn't wait for the game to be over and to get out of there. And when I got home, I thought, you're not a good umpire. You're not going to meet your goals. You did not do a good job for the game. You should just quit now. And it's completely embarrassing. I should decline going to the U19 Women's Canadian Championships. But then I had my mentor, Bob Henning, connect with me and help me figure out why my strike zone was so big. It was my positioning and setup. And he just talked about the dominant eye. And he told me, heel toe and just keep it simple. So from that point on, I did just that. I kept it simple. I went heel to toe on every single pitch, and I just focused on one pitch at a time. Then when I got to the U19 Canadian Championships, my UIC, Nancy Morrison, who umpired into the 2008 Olympics, told other umpires to watch my setup. And then I had the plate final and succeeded. I failed previously in that same year, which was the biggest failure of my life, and then up to that point. And then I had such a huge success at my very first national and felt great about myself. I was still nervous about potentially umpiring Team Canada in the future. However, I was so fortunate to be in my Bachelor's of Physical Education and Coaching, and we started learning about sports psychology and focusing and refocusing and imagery, and we started to learn about a mental skills training program. So I took these lessons and I applied them to umpiring in big games. And I continued to practice that on the field and off the field, and to use that mental skills training program that I set up for myself and go through the emotions of failing and go through the emotions of success and try to feel and even taste and see and like go into that moment and really be in there and to overcome that failure if I was in a failing moment. Then in 2014, I was asked to umpire in the International Women's Division at Canada Cup. And I was still nervous because I did not want to fail. But I told myself, just keep it simple, one pitch at a time, focus and refocus. Then I had the plate for Team Canada versus Bloomingfield Lady Hearts. And it was a big success. I felt great afterwards, and I knew that my failures years ago just made it better in that moment. And it made me feel successful and that I overcame my challenges. And then at that tournament, one of the Team Canada coaching staff came up to me and said I had the best strike zone, which meant a lot more than always succeeding and being good at something and doing good at everything, because I overcame a challenge that was failure, and I learned a ton of lessons that made me confident and helped me in my life and what I do today and balance of what I do today. And before you fail or when you fail, just try to stay optimistic. Throughout my life, my parents always had a sense of optimism. My father in particular had a sense of realistic optimism. I would go to him before a big test and ask, what if I fail? Then he would tell me, well, what if you fail? And I would frantically give him reasons that were not life and death. I would tell him, I'll have to retake the course and I might not graduate on time. I'll need to spend more money. And then he would embrace the realism of that failure in a positive and optimistic way. Say, okay, so you need to spend more money and spend more time on achieving your goal. I know you spent more time and money on things that are really useless, so why not something important to you? Now, in this picture, it shows there's different pathways and lengths of time to get somewhere. You may want the house on the right, but you get the house on the left. But realistically, the ocean view is still amazing in this picture, no matter what house you get to. And no matter what challenges or failures or different pathways you might take along the way, and balancing so many things in your life, you might drop a ball, but you can make that ball bounce into a way that is positive for your life and have so much more meaning later on and give you so much more direction and success and accomplishment. That failure is not, it can be the best outcome while working towards success. Failure is not bad. Failure can definitely be good. And Frankie, back to you.
Thank you so much, Laura. Again, some great messages in that presentation that really resonate with me for sure. you know, just a brief story, two of my very best friends got their international certification for basketball in the same year. And one went to the Olympics very soon after. And the other waited until her 50th year. And in basketball, when you turn 50, you lose your certification. And so she phoned a few of us and she said, this is it. I'm either going this year or I'm not. And her best friend, who had been years before her, phoned her and said, Karen, when you get the chance to go, you're just going to be so much more prepared in some ways, because you had so many things happen to you along the way that you may have considered failures, but they've made you such a tremendous referee. So I just love that. And of course, your message about optimism, I'm like all about optimism. So I just think that's amazing. So thank you so much. Could I please invite Curtis and Emma and SARAH-ÈVE back to join us for the last part of this session, please? Get all these good looking faces together. Thank you, everybody. Just one comment in the chat from one of my colleagues that I admire and respect deeply. Emma, you spoke about prioritizing your activities. And this comment is just to say, you know, that many people fail to do that and their lives and their family take a huge hit. And just she just was saying that's just such an excellent comment, and she's so proud of your accomplishments. So, and thank you all for your lovely presentations. While we are, of course, I have some questions for you, so I'm going to hog the floor until some stuff starts coming in. But Laura, you sort of talked about some of the obstacles that you have faced, and I'm wondering if Curtis and Emma and SARAH-ÈVE could maybe spend a minute or two talking about one or two obstacles that you have faced in your journeys. Is there anyone who would like to? I can pick on someone to go. Go ahead, Curtis.
I can go. Yeah, no, it's a great question. So what really pops out to me is in 2019, when I was having, you know, a busy year to say the least with playing and umpiring, in August, which is, you know, when, you know, all these tournaments are happening, my grandma had passed away from cancer. It was, you know, staggering to say the least of what that entailed. And it was difficult. And I don't think that, you know, when an obstacle is in your life and when, you know, the world seems to be crumbling in a sense, you don't just turn away from it, right? You have to sort of accept that as being there, right? And then it's like, okay, what do we do with that? So in this case, it was taking some time to actually reflect on where I go now from here, not try to, you know, put a bandage on it and let's get going, right? Make amends with it and push through. And it was a testament to the friends, the family, but also like the umpiring community around me that really helped me push through with that. And then afterwards, it was like school and university, and that is by no means the same as high school. I found out very, very shockingly. But then again, you know, no matter the obstacles, right, you can always make something of it, but it's the community around you that is really integral in that process of getting past it and actually making something of it.
Thanks, Curtis. Emma, SARAH-ÈVE, any obstacle you'd like to share?
Yeah, I can share next. I think it's something we vocalized when the five of us were talking previously, in that oftentimes when you're playing and umpiring, you get told by multiple people, you can't play at a high level and umpire at a high level at the same time. It's not possible. And I think the four of us sitting here today show that you can. It is possible. It takes kind of that managing and everything. And the one time I was told this in particularly, I'll always remember it. It's having those mentors around you too, who are there to support you. So I've been told this by a fellow official, just in that you can't umpire and play senior ball at the same time. Like, you can't do it. And I was obviously pretty crushed about this because I'd always been a player and I also loved umpiring. And one of those mentors in my life pulled me aside afterwards and said, like, Emma, you can do it. It's up to you how you want to do it, but it is possible. And I think that just kind of shows obstacles and having those people around you who will support you through those obstacles and get you through everything.
SARAH-ÈVE?
De mon côté, un petit peu comme Emma en a parlé, puis Curtis et Laura, j'en ai parlé tantôt, c'est de se faire dire, à un moment donné, il va falloir que tu choisisses entre jouer puis arbitrer. Moi, ça me fatiguait. J'ai rencontré, par contre, celui qui était anciennement l'arbitre en chef national, puis lui, ce qu'il m'a dit, c'est non, non, au contraire, le plus longtemps tu joues et que tu arbitres en même temps, le plus rapidement tu vas grimper les échelons. Puis je pense que tu seras jamais heureuse si les gens te demandent de choisir entre les deux. Puis c'est un petit peu ça qui s'est passé. J'ai arrêté de jouer de façon compétitive parce que j'avais perdu, je jouais plus avec ma gang d'amis parce que c'était trop de voyagement et tout ça. Puis à ce moment-là, c'était correct. Sinon, un autre obstacle, je pense, c'est on a beau essayer de voir les choses positivement, mais des fois, sur le coup, c'est quand même difficile quand tu tombes de quand même, pas que tu tombes haut, mais que tu as un échec un peu plus gros que ce à quoi tu pourrais t'attendre. Je pense qu'à ce moment-là, ça va tout nous arriver. Mais c'est d'en parler par après aux gens qui sont passés par là autour de toi. Mais faut pas se laisser abattre par ça. Là. Un peu comme le message que Laura voulait dire à toi.
Thank you. Laura, did you want to add anything, or did you feel like you touched on that enough in your presentation about obstacles? And because you did actually mention a situation, but I'm happy to give you the floor if you'd like to mention something else.
Yeah, really to just like add on to Emma, I've been told as well that you won't achieve high levels in umpiring by people if you continue playing. And I think it's completely opposite. And when people say that, it makes you want to not umpire anymore. It makes you want to quit because it's like, you're not supporting me. But when I go and play softball, my teammates will support me. And they are supporting me by me missing certain practices so I can go umpire, or missing certain games so I can umpire a big game. And they're very supportive. And then you get that support network, and then from one side, and when you don't get it from another, it makes you kind of hesitate in staying with the game. So just know that you can do it all. Just do what you love and don't give something up just because someone told you to.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad that Emma and Laura, that you've brought this up. This was certainly something that I was told too when I played in 4 Canadian championships before. I was like, you got to make a decision, Frankie. You know, so I'm really happy that the 4 of you have managed to balance those two things, because I certainly didn't feel like I was in a situation to maybe have a choice. So I'm really glad that you're pushing that boundary and giving that perspective of support to continue doing the things that you love. We do have one kind of question comment in the chat about, as younger up and coming officials along your journeys, I'm sure there have been times where you've been pushed by mentors or others to make umpiring a priority. Maybe you can explain some of the challenges you've had prioritizing, displaying patience, etc., and some thoughts on how others could handle those situations. And Laura, maybe I'll start with you.
Yeah, honestly, when people would tell me like you should make umpiring a priority, there'd be times where I'd kind of say something negative about them in my head, like maybe you should make running a priority, but I don't. I don't tell them that, so don't tell me make umpiring a priority. And it's just being able to talk to other people about it, and talk to other umpires, especially who might be going through something similar, because then it's like, well, you can kind of gang up on that person that's telling you to quit something you love and be like, no, they're wrong. We're right. We're right to continue playing and continue doing what we love. And we can only play so many years. Like, I'm in my 30s now, and it's catching is not as easy as 10 years ago. And it's umpire or playing becomes eventually can become potentially a little bit less because of my body, whereas umpiring can be a little bit more just because of our bodies and getting older. And so it's really, don't give up those opportunities because you think you have to do something, because I would have had many regrets if I did. And you just go to people who are that support network and will support you, and you listen to those people. You don't listen to people that necessarily don't have your best interests or know what's best for you.
Thanks, Laura. SARAH-ÈVE?
Ben, un peu dans le même ordre d'idée que qu'est-ce qui vient de se dire, pardon. Moi, ma réaction quand quelqu'un me disait « OK, là, il faudrait peut-être que tu pousses dans l'arbitrage plus tôt », c'est comme « OK, mais j'arrêterai pas de jouer pour autant. » Puis je suis devenue un peu bornée, un peu entêtée par rapport à ça. Puis à ce moment-là, tout ce que j'ai voulu faire, c'est de leur prouver qu'ils avaient tort. Fait que oui, j'ai poussé dans l'arbitrage, j'ai eu des belles opportunités et tout ça. Je me suis fait entourer de gens. Sauf que si j'avais l'opportunité d'aller jouer, par exemple, dans mon cas, un Est du Canada, un championnat de l'Est du Canada, ben j'y allais, même si ça impliquait qu'il y avait un tournoi cette fin de semaine-là que j'aurais peut-être dû faire pour aider à mon développement. Sauf que, comme Laura dit, il y a juste un certain temps où est-ce que, comme athlète, on va être vraiment compétitif. Puis je pense que si on capitalise vraiment sur ce moment-là pour jouer, pour l'apprécier, l'arbitrage, ça va continuer. Je dis pas qu'il faut dire non à toutes les opportunités, mais il faut voir aussi qu'est-ce qu'on veut à travers ça. Puis c'est ça. Maintenant, je peux dire que les gens qui m'ont fait choisir avaient tort, tout simplement. Puis c'est une petite fierté.
Thank you. Emma?
I think I'm actually very lucky with the mentors I have in my life. I'm always the person that's gung-ho and I can do this, I can do that. Yep, give it all to me, I'll balance it all. And the mentors in my life are actually the ones who are like, Emma, you're just starting your career, like make sure you can actually handle it. Or you're still in school, like make sure school is a priority. And umpiring, if you can't do it, like you can't host the online clinic, then that's okay. So I actually think I'm going to come from the opposite side on this question and say that finding those mentors who understand what you're going through and are fully supportive of you are key. And they can wrangle you back sometimes when you're getting too much on your plate, which is always appreciated.
And Curtis?
Yeah, I really liked what Emma said about prioritization. So I think it's hard to distinguish between like what really you should be doing when you're hearing a bunch of voices, including your own in the mix, right? But I think, you know, it doesn't go without explanation. You should do what you most want to do. So that comes with, you know, moments of deep reflection. What would best represent me? Whether that comes from Laura's side of things, hey, I want to play for these years because I know I can play in these years. Umpire maybe a bit later. Maybe balancing both, like Emma wants to take on the world by the horns, right? Whatever it is that you want to do, it only comes from yourself. So, I mean, I'd say like take some moments out of each day or each week, periodic reflection about like, am I doing what's best for me? Not easy questions to ask, but I think they're necessary ones.
Nice. We have a couple of more questions in the chat. Is there something that you know now that you wish you had known when you started? And I think I'll start with SARAH-ÈVE.
Ouais, c'est un tout petit détail dans mon cas. J'ai grandi dans le programme d'arbitrage au Québec. On s'est toujours fait dire que les évaluations, évidemment, c'était important, plus important que l'assignation finale. Puis ça, je suis totalement d'accord. Je pense que de mon côté, je me suis toujours mis beaucoup de pression quand même à ce que ça soit le meilleur sur papier. Évidemment, c'est tout ce qu'on veut, mais c'était devenu une pression qui n'était pas nécessairement positive. Puis la dernière compétition que j'ai faite, l'arbitre en chef, à un moment donné, a dit, tu sais, une évaluation, c'est une image qu'on prend de toi dans le temps. Puis tout d'un coup, ça fait beaucoup de sens. Puis clairement, c'est toi à un moment donné, dans une situation donnée. Fait que juste d'avoir su ça avant, je pense que j'aurais été beaucoup plus calme, puis je m'en serais pas fait avec des petits détails. Tu sais. Avant, j'étais du genre à dire « Ah ben oui, mais je me suis enfargé dans la ligne, j'ai eu une mauvaise game. » Non, c'est pas ça en réalité. Donc, les évaluations, ça devrait être vraiment positif, puis je pense que maintenant, c'est comme ça que je le vois, puis c'est aussi le message que j'aimerais passer aux plus jeunes. Faut pas s'en faire avec ça. C'est une photo de toi à un moment donné, tout simplement.
Thank you. Emma?
think I'm going to echo a little bit of what Curtis said in his presentation here, and it is like that aspect of the blue family. So starting off, I think you often feel alone when you're umpiring, and as you develop these relationships with the other officials, and it is really a relationship that's unlike any other. Like, we all come from different walks of life, different careers, different ages, different genders, different backgrounds essentially, but the one thing we all have in common is our love of the game, and that really brings you together. And honestly, the stuff that happens off diamond is just as enjoyable, if not more enjoyable, than what happens on diamond. And I think throughout the whole COVID, a lot of us are missing those relationships that we do have with our blue family. But that is one thing I would say to the new officials is, like, fully embrace that aspect, stick around after the games, have a hot dog, have a glass of water, a beer, whatever you're going to have after the game with the other officials. And that's where you learn the most, and that's where you develop those bonds.
Nice, thank you. Laura.
I mean, if I knew that I was going to get divorced, maybe I wouldn't have got married. But honestly, no, I would never have changed anything or want to know pieces of information in the beginning that I would know like now or know now, because as I said, like, maybe I wouldn't have chosen that route that led to failure, and I would not have had those learning lessons that were so vital in my life and in umpiring and just in who I am today. So honestly, I wouldn't want to know anything at the start. I just wanted to go in, see what it's like, and continue on and take on new challenges and meet new people, and like feel that, okay, I'm nervous about something, but hey, you know what? Let's just see how it goes. And if I fail, well, I can take a different pathway next time.
Nice. And Curtis.
I wish I knew that when I started umpiring, it would be one of the best decisions I've ever made. I think that, and I mean that in terms of, say, if you were to look at me when I was 12, I wouldn't be here. I would be in my bed, underneath the covers. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be heard. Nothing like that. But with umpiring, on-field presence really taught me confidence, what that means, what that entails. Be comfortable in your own skin. Be comfortable, say, maybe being more assertive if the situation needs be. Maybe be a little bit more lenient if the situation is just much more socially mature in that aspect. But then also a little bit what Emma said is in those little micro interactions of say sharing with an umpire over a hot dog or whatever, going back to the hotel room and just chatting. You form unbelievable connections, and in turn, you understand who you are a little bit better, right? Because you're comfortable enough to experiment around with really how you fit into the community, how you fit into sort of your own niche in the world. It's really cool umpiring. It's got something going for it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to stop hogging the floor. We do have a couple of questions in the chat, so I'm going to go. Those were my questions, people in the audience, some of them. So I'm going to go to, we have an awesome question here about, sorry, my question box is like this big, so I'm trying to scroll through it. Is there anything your local organization or provincial organization can or could do to help younger umpires with lots on their plates? And as the elder amongst you, I will start with Laura.
Thank you.
Well, as the wise sage that you are.
Some great things. I started with Coquitlam Minor Bass Pitch Association, and the awesome things that they did for me was they provided me a mentor, and they paired me with someone who just took the clinic like I did, so that we could become friends. And that so if something happened on the diamond, or if we got yelled at, then we can talk to each other about it and have that support network. And then that umpire or that mentor, they supported us throughout our entire first season. And sometimes it's difficult for the number of people to get enough mentors for as many new people as we can, that you leave people by themselves in their first few games, and they're nervous and they get yelled at, they don't have a good experience, so they quit. But what we did is we paired up with one another. Someone was going through similar experiences, and then our mentor helped us both in those games. So then it was like that 2 mentees per 1 mentor, and we were able to work together. And so it made umpiring easy, and then it made kind of that decision to continue umpiring easy and balance it into my life personally, because I was having fun and doing what I'd love. And so that I would look at umpiring as like, no, I want to go do that. And maybe if there's something that I don't love to do, maybe I decide I won't do that. And just like Emma said, prioritizing what we want to do. And just also not putting that pressure on to do all the games just because you don't have enough umpires to fill the games. If we don't have enough umpires, then maybe it's time for parents or people on teams to step up and to umpire themselves. And like, we can't necessarily put all that pressure on to people to do everything, because then it kind of diminishes that love of the game.
Thank you. Curtis, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I really want to just jump off what Laura said about having more, I guess, yeah, more mentors, more figureheads in whatever local, provincial capacity. One, to help with that sort of damage control side of things, make sure things don't get out of control, make sure there's younger umpires, any umpires have somebody to talk to, somebody to look up towards, and they feel safe. But also, I think it's helpful having these maybe more veteran officials at the top, and for the veteran officials to continually extend a hand out to the younger officials. Hey, I have a senior men's game coming up. Would you want to come watch? Would you want to maybe even come on the diamond if you know they're comfortable with that, right? It's ideal. In a perfect world, we'd have as many mentors as possible. And if you feel like you're the umpire, say in your own association that has budding potential to be, you know, a more veteran official, take that up in whatever capacity that means. Taking on one mentee, maybe applying for a more high status position, whatever, because the sport really needs more figureheads, more people driving it forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. Sarah?
De mon côté, je pense que une façon que les associations locales ou régionales, provinciales peuvent supporter les nouveaux arbitres, les plus jeunes, c'est juste oui, d'avoir des mentors, je pense que c'est une bonne idée, mais au-delà de ça, juste de les présenter, de présenter un nouveau avec peut-être 2 ou 3 autres nouveaux, puis 2 ou 3 autres qui ont un tout petit peu de plus d'expérience dans la même région ou dans la même ville. Je pense que ces gens-là, de toute façon, vont suivre. Puis juste le fait d'avoir cette espèce de petit esprit de gang-là, ça va faire que un de ceux-là va vouloir avancer, ils vont continuer d'avancer, puis de là, tu rencontres des gens aussi avec plus d'expérience, puis éventuellement, oui, peut-être avoir un mentor de façon non officielle. Mais je pense que justement, de ne pas être laissé seul à soi, c'est une bonne façon d'être supporté pour les plus jeunes arbitres.
Thank you. I feel like I'm learning French just listening to you. I think the three of you had some similar themes there. I'm hearing networking, mentorship, working with people who have a little bit more experience, even if they're only 3 or 4 years ahead of you. You know, one of the things that I'd love to see is not just senior level umpires asking younger officials to come and work with them, but to have our seasoned officials going back and working U12 and U14, even if it's one night a month. That person and those participants reap major benefits from that. So I really appreciate these answers that you're giving, and I think that the UIC who asked this question is getting a lot of fodder for what they can do for their programs. But Emma, I didn't mean to take away the floor from you. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I would just echo all the previous comments. And then in addition to that, say you can also have off-field mentors, like assign off-field mentors who are just their point of contact. If they have any questions, if they have any concerns, or if they have any plays that they don't know like the answer to, that they can reach out to. And that's one way to allow our small group of mentors to reach out further, because each senior official can have multiple off-field mentors rather than having that, requiring that one-on-one on-field as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, Frankie, can I just quickly just jump off something you said?
Yes, you may.
Okay, thank you. And so, yeah, exactly what you said, Frankie, is going, so these more seasoned veteran officials, probably a ton like watching this webinar, go back to those U10, U12 games, showing gratitude. That's your favorite word, right? Because you should never forget where you've come from, where your roots, your developmental roots are, because it's really easy to lose sight of that, especially when, you know, there might be better games in your opinion to do. Doesn't matter, right? The sport needs this continual process of higher level officials coming down and lower level officials testing themselves and coming back up, right? And I think we shouldn't forget that. So you nailed it, Frankie.
Well, thank you. I'm just in the process of putting together, my basketball colleagues have asked me to do a presentation on goal setting, and it's not my favorite topic, but I understand how important it is. So I asked them, can I partner it with like my 5 favorite tips for success? And the number one thing is gratitude, to your point. And it's hard when we're on our own journey of trying to get something or earn something, or we feel like we always have to work that level of competition. And I think in this last few years, I've really started feeling like that giving back is huge. If it's not just mentoring, it's not just off field, it's not just evaluating. If I can spend 3 hours on the diamond with someone who's in their first year doing U12 and U14, and for the first time in years, I can be taller than everyone playing the game. It's like such a huge bonus, I think, for me, and for like, and we just had a lot of fun, and that was a real eye-opener for me, because I just wasn't doing that all the time, and I'd really like to make that a commitment going forward, and to challenge my colleagues also to do that. So thank you so much for those responses. We have a really neat comment in the chat. Thanks to all of you for your good vibes, enjoying what you do, taking a leap of faith, softball being a passion. So there is a question, a specific one for Laura, about the your mentor speaking to you about your better plate coverage and the dominant eye. And I think that whole thing just really speaks to the fact that all of us who had the chance to learn from Bob Henning and his plate stance mechanics, we should probably ask him to come out of retirement and do that presentation at Blue Convention again. There's probably a slew of people who have never had the chance to listen to it. But do you want to, just because you were mentored by Bob, if you wanted to just do a really brief, like the dominant eye theory for this particular person in the audience?
Yeah. Yeah, it's essentially one eye is stronger than the other, and it's determining like what eye is stronger, and based off of if you're on right-hand side batter versus a left-handed batter, and how you set up like your head into that camera slot, and you want to be in the same slot every time, but you also want to be cognizant of like, okay, if your dominant eye is stronger, you don't want to necessarily point it in the wrong direction, and kind of along the lines of that. And I think Bob Henning, he does a fantastic job of explaining that. And I don't want to do it on camera, but you take your finger and you find out what eye is dominant, and then just how to use that in the plate stance. And then it just being aware of like what you're doing, and that can make a huge difference of why you're calling the size of a barn your door in your strike zone versus like the actual strike zone.
Nice. Just another comment in the chat about people really enjoying your authenticity, everybody, and loving your attitude and being so real. So thank you for that. Oh, there's a question for me. How do you juggle your son and family and umpiring? Well, my buddy Mike. Well, you know what, that's funny. I was going to have a separate webinar on the balancing act for the next generation, which is people that are balancing family and careers. And but really, it's the same messages that many of you said. When you're passionate about something, you can do anything when you're passionate about something. And one of my favorite taglines that one of my bosses said to me when they were offering me a promotion that I didn't think I was ready for, he said, Frankie, you can achieve almost anything with the right amount of enthusiasm. And I never forgot that. And so enthusiasm, passion can get you through the tough times. But I think it was Emma that talked about the support network. As you get older, the support network in umpiring isn't the crucial piece. It's the support you need at home. If I did not have a supportive partner who was willing to follow me all over the country and sit in the stands and, you know, sit with my son and just be there with me and support me, it would be really tough. Because when all of this started, when I became a mom, I was like, I don't want to spend every weekend away from all of you. So it was like, okay, well then softball tournaments are now a family activity. And so that's how we have, but I will say traveling, like being away for World Championships or Pan American Games, or it's like, it's in the moment, it's hard, but because the support is so genuine and it's so heartfelt, it feels like I have my own cheering section at home. And it brings the best version of me in that championship. And if something isn't right in that support, or if there's something in my personal life that's off, guess what? Your umpiring will be off too. And that's, yeah. So thanks for the question. That's all I have to say about that. I don't think there are any parents on your panel. No, I deliberately did that because, so here's why I did that. I was going to have a separate panel of people who are juggling children, but because this webinar was focused on recruitment, it was really important to me that we had panelists who have played and gone to school and umpired, because we need to recognize that the future of our game are the people playing. And I don't want them to feel like they have to give one up. We have to continue to support all of their passions. And so it was a very concerted decision to do this one like this. But if there is a sentiment out there that we should talk about the other, then we'll plan that for next year for sure. So thank you so much. And we have a, thank you, Lucy Carmichael. Very excited to see you, SARAH-ÈVE, as a. We need to do more of the French presentation. So thank you so much for that comment. I guess my last question for you. Thank you so much for the audience participation. So my last question for you before I have some closing comments would be, if you could give one piece of advice to someone who was thinking of this about starting umpiring, or someone who was in their first year, what would it be? I'm going to give you, we're going to have a moment of silence, because this is going to be a profound statement that each of you will come up with, I'm sure.
Je peux y aller. C'est super simple. Essaie-le. Essaie-le, tu vas voir, c'est le fun. Tout simplement. La balle, c'est le fun.
Okay, so you said super simple. Super simple was your starting? And could you say it on anglais, just so I can?
Yeah, of course. Just try it. I mean, softball and umpiring, it's fun. It's a fun game. Just give it a try. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But at least you're gonna try it, and you'll see. You'll meet great people. Like all of you said before, you meet great people. It's a great group of person, and it's just a game basically. It's fun.
Love it. Thank you so much. Who would like to volunteer to go second to share their profound advice for? Go ahead, Curtis.
The best I can come up with is, in everything that you do it with 100% of you. And I know that might sound cliche, but I really mean that. And taking sort of from what Laura said is, when you succeed, since you've been devoting 100% of what you're doing, you succeed 100%. That's a great feeling. when you do everything 100% and you fail 100%. And that could be really scary. But as Laura has said, like, the moments of failure are crucial. And then sort of what you hinted at, Frankie, crucial for learning. And right, it's gonna suck if you fail 100%. But at least you could say, I'm doing something 100%, and therefore, even in the failure of 100%, you learn 100% too. So yeah, give it your all, no matter what, and fail hard if you're gonna fail.
So just try, and then give it everything you've got. Okay, I love it. Laura, Emma, who's next?
I can go.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Laura, do you want to go?
No, Emma, you go.
I would say don't be afraid to ask questions. I think all of us, even at this point in our careers, still ask multiple questions each and every season, every week throughout the season. So when you're first learning, give it your all, ask all the questions. That's how you progress as an umpire and how you learn the game even better.
Nice. Okay, Laura, the big finish.
Oh boy. Yeah, no, just really do what you love, which is such a work slogan, but honestly, do what you love. If you love softball, then try umpiring softball. You can learn so many things that you can take back into playing the sport, that it can make you a better player, and playing can make you a better umpire or a coach, or however you want to be involved. Just do what you love and continue to focus on what you love doing in life, and then you'll be happy. Like, it makes me happy. I work in athletics because I love sport, and it makes me happy. So just do what you love, and failure can be the best outcome while working towards success.
So I'm going to be that nerdy person that's going to try and bring all of our webinars together. So just in a few minutes, I'm not going to take too long, but because we're already over time. But I did want to say that we started out this webinar series in February with the Recipe for Success, and we had 5 speakers: Bob Stanton, Caroline Stadhouder, Kevin Ryan, Pete Saunders, and Emma Charles Wertzieler, and they all had their own messages related to what it takes to be a great official and what it takes to combine the different traits that are required for the Recipe for Success. And so many of you talked about those different traits that they talked about: passion, patience, mentoring. So success looks different for everybody. That was one of Emma's big messages for us in her presentation. So I just love that you have continued those themes from that presentation. Moving into March, we talked about fitness and self-care. And Trevor talked about, obviously the 4 of you care about your physical fitness, you can tell. And then Dr. Amber Mosowich talked about our mental self-care. And one of the traits that I think all of you have in common that didn't come up is your resilience, getting through obstacles, getting through challenges. And resilience is the #1 trait linked to mental toughness. And mental toughness is one of the links to achieving great things in anything. So I just think that's amazing that without intending to, you've hit on some key threads that have come up in our webinars so far. And then in April, our theme was communication from a coach's perspective. And the coaches talked about wanting to have people on the diamond whom they could approach, and people who they felt were their interpersonal skills are stellar. And all 4 of you are in careers that capitalize on really strong interpersonal skills. So I just want to hammer home to people out there that the things you're doing in your personal life enhance your umpiring life, and your umpiring life enhances your personal life. They're intertwined. And just the last thing, and really to hammer home the point of, if you're out there and you're listening and you've ever wondered how you could play an umpire, we want you to know you can do both. These amazing people that have been chatting with you all night have been able to do it, and they've done it brilliantly. And there was an article in Referee magazine yesterday that I saw, and the title of it was Keys to Officiating Success. And in it, it says, study the game to improve as an official. And the more you know about the game, the less chance you have of getting surprised by something. And who better to run the least risk of being surprised by something than people who already know the game, who are people who played the game. So all of this research is saying that we want people who know the game, who have played the game. They can become really great officials if we help them and we nurture them and we help them to grow. So let's get those players on board, because they are the ones that will be the bright lights of our future program. So thank you so much, Curtis and Emma and Laura and SARAH-ÈVE, for completing this amazing package of webinar series for 2021. It's been an absolute pleasure to host these. Thank you so much for your passion and your presentations and your authenticity. And I wish you all the very best in your future goals and whatever this particular season has to hold for all of us.
Thank you, Frankie.
Thank you, Frankie. Thanks all
Thank
for
you,
watching.
everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks, Frankie.
Take care. Good night, everybody. Thanks for the audience participation.